Why are we doing this? We want to appreciate and understand that what's going on in the world is incredible. And it's very easy to forget that. I don't want to forget how incredible the miracles are. I want to remember. And we said, just like with the scroll of Esther, 9 years recounted in 40 minutes, you see the story unfolding. Over 9 years, many things seem unrelated. So I really wanted to do this so we will not get distracted. We will be focused. We will see the hand of God. We will remember the amazing miracles that happened, that are happening, and all of the things that put into place these miracles within nature. Just very briefly, because we did this, but it was a while ago. It's actually a very Mashiach redemption concept to celebrate and thank God for the miracles. It says about one of the greatest kings of the Jewish people, Chizkiah. He should have been Mashiach. He should have been the Redeemer. But there was this heavenly prosecution against him because he didn't properly thank God for all the miracles he experienced, which he did. That's a separate story. But we really see from here that thanking and acknowledging the miracles literally connects to bringing the redemption. And we have so many miracles to thank for. And just like by Purim, they're all within nature. So we could look at nature and see miracles, or we could look at miracles and see nature. So we are going to look at the nature and see the real truth, the miracles. We went all the way back to 2020, and we spoke about two important things in 2020 that were a long time ago. In our brains, 2020, eons ago, but really directly connect and are creating the miracles unfolding today. We spoke about the elimination of Soleimani, who was the architect of the proxy network, and how that truly weakened Iran's whole proxy network, allowing many things to happen since. We spoke about the Abraham Accords, which also happened in 2020, and also gave strength and some degree of unity, some degree of connection between Israel and these Arabic countries. They're normalizing relationships with us, which very significant today, because it's not only that Iran is attacking Israel, they are attacking the United Arab Emirates. They are attacking Bahrain. Both of those countries are literally on their doorstep. And hey, we're all in this together. So very significant in giving credibility in the eyes of the world, giving credence to what's happening today. Those were in 2020. We spoke of the miracles of October 7th, 2023, because Soleimani was eliminated, and therefore Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran were not all in sync, and therefore their horrific plans of unspeakable destruction, assassination, rampage in Israel didn't happen, because God made sure 3 years before Soleimani was eliminated. So he wasn't there to make sure this was coordinated attack, which would have been far more devastating than October 7th already was. We spoke in 2024, in April, Iran sending 200 ballistic missiles plus complete embarrassment. Not one Jew was killed. In May, the Iranian president, Raisi, somehow his helicopter doesn't make it through the fog, gone. In July, Trump surviving this assassination attempt that never should have been possible, but literally a turn of a head is what saved his life. Literally seconds. Literally God giving him and us the message. I'm saving him. I need him to put certain things in place. We spoke in July. Two amazing things, the very end of July, how the political leader of Hamas, Haniya, eliminated in Tehran, in a military-run guest house, attending the inauguration ceremony for the new Iranian president. How that happened, no clue. And the day before, how Fuad Shukar, a senior Hezbollah commander, gone. Literally, one of the 3 second-in-commands to the head, Nasrallah himself, gone. $5 million US bounty on his head. America couldn't find him. Israel, gone. And how all of these things are giving us the message of God's reassurance, of God's protection, of our success, weakening these organizations practically and psychologically. In August, how Hezbollah had planned this precise attack, 7 a.m., And 6:45, Israel bombs all of their planes and missiles that had come from underground to attack us. And none of them were able to fly. In September, so many things happened in September of 2024. This huge miracle of this Iranian-built precision-guided missile production factory deep in a Syrian mountain to build and send to Hezbollah these missiles to destroy us, and how Israel managed, again, in ways that are beyond nature, within nature, but completely beyond nature, to attack, put down 660 pounds of explosive, destroy everything, and leave within an hour and a half, because an hour later, hundreds of Syrian soldiers arrived, and all they found was destruction. These things don't happen, but they do. But we should appreciate that they're miracles. That was in September of 2024. Also in September of 2024, 3 days in a row, right? We had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, September 17th, 18th, and 19th. Tuesday, totally upending Hezbollah in the pager attack. Wednesday, in the walkie-talkie attack. And Thursday, 20 of the top remaining commanders are all together meeting physically, because nothing technologically is safe, and getting all 20 of them in one shot. September 17th, 18th, 19th. Practically disseminating Hezbollah, psychologically disseminating Hezbollah. And the point of all this, the reason why we're doing this and reminding ourselves of this and getting excited over this and remembering our excitement when it happened then, is to see the miracles, to be confident and certain in the miracles happening now, and to see this chain of significant but seemingly isolated events, for us to recognize nothing is isolated. This is all leading to the destruction of the evil empire. This evil empire that has held 90 million citizens hostage for 50 years, beyond all the terror done to Israel, to America, and God pulling it down. Also in September, the destruction of the munitions factories in September, the 3 days of terror to Hezbollah in September, and September's not over. September 27th, the head of Hezbollah, who led and built up Hezbollah for 32 years, who made Hezbollah Iran's most battle-hardened army of 100,000 fighters, with an arsenal of 150,000 rockets. Nasrallah is eliminated. Israel dropped 80 bombs on his underground bunker, destroyed. That was all in September. In October, again, the miracles continue. They keep happening. Again, Iran sends 200 plus ballistic missiles, and again, not one Jew is killed. Because of all of our arrow system, Iron Dome, David slingshot, it's not 100% protection. But God made it 100% protection. And then in October, insane things keep happening. Sinwar, as we discussed, killed like a dog, killed like the most irrelevant person. And later in October, Israel, in response to those 200 ballistic missiles Iran sent a few weeks earlier, goes to Iran. They called it Operation Days of Repentance, destroys Iran's air defenses, demolishes 20 of Iran's Russian-supplied air defense batteries. And this then we understood was significant. How did Israel do this? 3 waves of strikes at 20 locations, some new technology that they flew undetected, knocking out this whole aerial defense system, crippling their missile production. But it was so significant because this is what allowed the 12-day war of June. This is what's allowed what's happening now. We spoke of Syria, where again, because of everything we just said, Syria is in such a vulnerable situation. For 10 years, there's been civil wars, and Assad was protected by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is so weak they can't do anything. Assad is protected by Russia. Russia's so distracted and weakened by Ukraine, they can't do anything. Protected by Iran. Iran's so many problems now. So much of its own arsenal is destroyed. So much of its own commanders are dealing with all the fallout. They're not able to help. And after 10 years of the rebels, again, evil people themselves, but these rebels trying, They succeed. Again, Russia's busy and drained with Ukraine. Iran is weakened by all the Israeli attacks. Hezbollah says, no way can we help. We're barely functioning. And they're gone. And the most significant thing for us is we said for 2 days when this was happening, Israel realized this is our chance. When the rebels are taking over, right? It took 11 days. In 11 days, everything in Syria collapsed and Assad ran to Russia. During those critical 11 days on December 8th and 9th of 2024, Israel fought. Israel said, everything we know about Syria in this absolute chaos going on there, every plan we have on Syria, we're doing it right now. This isn't a terrorist organization. This is a country that Iran and Russia poured billions in their defense system. Israel sent, over those 48 hours, 350 planes on 350 missions, bombing every single Syrian Air Force jet. None remained. Every Syrian Navy boat, none remained. Eliminating every Syrian general, every nuclear scientist, every chemical scientist, taking southern Syria as a buffer zone. 48 hours, 350 missions, destroying their army, their navy, and their air force, and at loss of Israeli life, 0. Capturing, without a shot, the highest peak of Mount Hermon, capturing the other side of the Golan Heights. In 1967, we got the side facing us in the 6-Day War, a tremendous loss of life. Tremendous loss of life. In the 6-Day War, 1967, we got 2/3 of the Golan Heights, but the other third on the Syrian side, we never had. And now we have it without firing a shot. Truly messianic. Truly, thank you, God, for the unbelievable miracles. And now, having destroyed the Syrian air defense system, Israel can literally fly from Israel over Syria to Iran, where they also decimated most of their aerial defense system, and literally go there undetected. Also, we said very significant, with Syria's collapse, the land bridge that Iran had, bringing weapons from Iran through Syria to Lebanon, to Gaza, gone. So here, Iran has poured billions into their proxies, but they can't send them the arms because Syria, that bridge between Iran and Lebanon, Hezbollah, between Iran and ultimately Gaza, Hamas, gone. That was what we said so far. And I hope, as I recounted very briefly, all of these amazing, amazing victories that God handed us almost like without work on our part, handed us, thank God, without loss of life. All of these miracles we're saying, if it was the elimination of Nasrallah, it was the munitions factory where they brought 40 medics and didn't need one, destroying the Iranian air defense system, 350 missions in Syria. Everything I said so far was all literally with 0 loss of Israeli life. All of these things happened. All of these things happened in a stupendously successful way, in a supernaturally successful way, and without any loss of life. I just want to recount a few more. We're now in February of 2025. Okay, meaning the last thing I reviewed was the end of December or mid-December of 2024 with the complete destruction of the Syrian Assad regime, how Israel utilized that opportunity to destroy any threat Syria could have on us, and all of the amazing positive benefits to us from the destruction of that Syrian Assad regime. So that was December, right? We said December 8th, 9th, and into December of 2024. February of 2025, just another miracle not to forget. Is it something per se that's leading? No. But I think it's important when we see these enormous miracles to really remember them, rejoice in them, and take strength from them. Because sometimes things happen and everything going on now, and it could be like, and we can get uncertain. We can become, God forbid, fearful. When we look and see how much care God has taken over these years, how much protection, how much he has done for us, we can say, and so too now. So February 20th, 2025, what happened that day? You might not remember it, but again, just a crazy miracle. 3 buses blew up in a parking lot in Bat Yam. And at the same time, a woman traveling in another bus found under her seat a bomb. When this happened, the Israeli transportation is saying, what is going on? And they said, every bus in Israel, pull over. We have to search every bus. And they found another bomb. So that night, February 20th, 2025, at 9 p.m, 3 buses are blowing up, parked in a parking lot. Destruction of the buses, no harm to any humans. Right before 9, this woman finds under her seat a bomb. Everyone gets off the bus. They come, they detonate it safely, remove it, no loss of life. And again, at the same time, another bomb is found. What happened? What happened was there was a plan for 5 buses to blow up in downtown Tel Aviv. This is like, so to speak, Israel's version of Manhattan. Envisioning 5 buses blowing up in downtown Tel Aviv, killing thousands of Jews, injuring thousands more. So they plant these 5 bombs. How they got on the buses, I don't know. They planted 5 bombs on 5 buses, all of whom in their route are in the morning in downtown Tel Aviv. But they made a mistake. They made a mistake that makes no sense, and they made it 5 times. Each of these 5 bombs, they set to explode instead of what they wanted, 9 a.m., accidentally. Every bomb was set for 9 p.m. So 5 buses, 5 bombs, and not 1 person hurt. How did this happen? And for that matter, how did the woman notice a bomb under the seat where she's sitting in the bus? And another amazing thank you, God miracle, which I'm sure we probably all heard then, but it's easy to forget. And I think it's important to remember. That was February, May 30th, 2025, 600 days of war. Over those 600 days, 30,000 projectiles fired into Israel. How do we get 30,000? We have Gaza, right? From Hamas, 16,000 rockets. Hezbollah, 12,400 rockets and projectiles. Iran, 400 ballistic missiles. The Houthis of Yemen, 180 missiles. Syria sent 60, 30,000. In the Gulf War, the miracles of the Gulf War, there were 39 missiles. In these 600 days, there were 30,000. And if we think of the loss of life from these 30,000 projectiles, and every human being is a world, every Jew is a world, any loss of life is a tragedy, an unspeakable tragedy. But we can still thank God for the miracle of 30,000 projectiles and the incredibly low loss of life. June, the 12-day war, from June 13th to June 24th of 2025. What's going on? What's going on is an incredible window of opportunity based on everything we said until now. Again, God plotted this all out. Iran is more vulnerable than it's been in 50 years. Hezbollah, who's supposed to attack Israel and make sure Iran is safe, so weakened, barely holding on. Syrian airspace, which was controlled by Iran and was supposed to keep Iran safe, gone. So these 2 proxies, in essence, Syria was a suburb of proxy, and Hezbollah, of course, is a proxy, dismantled, gone, weakened, non-issues. Iran herself, her whole air defense system, gone. So we don't have Hezbollah in power. We don't have Assad's Syria in power. We don't have Iran's air defense system in power. All of these things we've noted as leading up to this miracle. God put this all in place, that Israel is able to strike the Iranian nuclear facilities directly, which is unbelievable because for years, Israel has been screaming to the world of Iranian nuclear ability. And what's happened? We'll give them enough money and pacify them, they won't do it. We'll put sanctions in place and they won't do it. Obviously, nothing was effective. Even things that they actually tried seriously didn't stop Iran from building and building and enriching and enriching and enriching that uranium. Israel starts. America joined on June 22nd, bombing Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan. These are all nuclear facilities, destroying parts of Iranians' ballistic missile infrastructure, which means crippling the arsenal that they need. So this war, this 12-day war, was an incredible blow that so much more weakened Iran, and again, is allowing what's been happening since February 2026 to continue. So that war won what it accomplished, striking and weakening and crippling their nuclear production and missile production. And because of the destruction of part of their ballistic missile infrastructure, allowing the war that's happened since February to happen at far less Iranian ability. And enormous miracles that happened then. My sister-in-law, her brother is a very high-level pilot. Now he's in the reserves. For years, he flew, and of course, he was called up for the Israeli Air Force. He shared that before the pilots left on their missions, they were told, literally, say goodbye to your wives, say goodbye to your families. This is what they were told. 40% of you will not make it back. All of these pilots. We don't know who's going to be in that 40%, but we know the statistics. 40% of you are not going to survive this war. The number of casualties throughout those entire 12 days of missions for all of these pilots was 0. A miracle that makes no sense, and practically speaking, we know happened. Not only do we see the miracle in the pilots, we even saw the miracle in the airplanes. We could put in perspective what this means. These are fighter jets, F-35 fighter jets. Each plane costs $235 million. Okay, can we fathom that figure? I don't think so. But these are the facts. Every hour they're in the air, they need 8 hours of maintenance for every single hour that they're in the air. So we have these planes that are, to say expensive is like a funny word, right? For every hour in the air, 8 hours of maintenance. So what America does in her fighting is she has all of her planes 51% readiness, meaning you need double the amount of planes you think you need, because at any given moment, half are going to be under maintenance. So what's Israel doing? Israel has 200 planes. These 200 planes have to fly 4 hours. Okay, it takes 4 hours to fly a fighter jet from Israel to America. It's 2,000 kilometers. Then they have to fly 4 hours back. So 4 hours got you there, 4 hours got you back. For 1 hour, one critical hour, you're in Iranian airspace, which is the hardest fighting because you're avoiding whatever anti-aircraft fire that they're shooting at you. So this is tremendous stress to the plane. This is 9 hours, 4 hours to get to Iran, 1 hour of bombing and avoiding their fire, and 4 hours back. The acceptable loss, acceptable not meaning it's good, but acceptable meaning what happens, is for every round of fighting, 8 planes are going to be downed. They're going to lose 8 planes and 8 pilots every time there's such a mission. There's going to be mechanical loss. Some are going to get shot down. Every mission, we're going to lose 8 planes and 8 pilots. The assumption is 200 are going, 192 are going to come back. Now, from the 192 that come back, for sure, 100 are going to need maintenance. They just flew for 9 hours. So the next round of the mission, 90 planes are going to go out, 8 are going to be shut down or dropped, and so on and so forth. So over 10 days, we're going to have, God forbid, 60 dead pilots, 60 downed planes, and then half are on maintenance that they can't fly anyway. That's what was supposed to happen. What happened? We suffered not one loss, not one pilot loss, not one plane loss. There was not even a plane that needed significant maintenance, which the mechanical engineer said was impossible, but it happened. And America was trying to file reports, and they couldn't, because they said, there's no way to explain this. It's impossible. America is like, hey, we want to do this too. Right now, we have only 50% of our planes in combat because the other half are in maintenance. What's Israel doing? How can we simulate this? We want 90% of our planes in combat. We want to be like Israel. Again, a quiet miracle. So beyond the military incredible protection, incredible, as I said, America's trying to simulate and has no clue how we did it. I mean, we have no clue how we did it, miracles. We also saw tremendous, tremendous protection. It's a very famous example that probably many of you remember from then was Soroka Hospital. Soroka Hospital is a major hospital in southern Israel. It has 8 buildings. One day during these 12 days, the director of all of these 8 buildings, the director of the hospital is looking at one building. One building got his attention. He said, if that building got hit, it would be really bad. I mean, if any of the buildings got hit, it would be really bad. We have to empty out that building. What about the other 7? We have to empty out this building. That night, that building got struck. None of the other 7. So what's going on? God's incredible protection. There was a 30-story building in Tel Aviv. Many American personnel stay in that building, got a direct hit. Half the building is destroyed. No one's killed. So American inspectors came because this is an American military personnel building. And there was just no way to explain it. There's nothing they could say. In Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, there's a funeral home, Shandar, which is a funeral home. And one of the things it does as a funeral home is store dead bodies. The war, if you remember, broke out in the middle of Thursday night. Complete surprise. I mean, surprise to Iran and to the people of Israel. The next morning, Friday morning, the Israeli government contacts this funeral home, Shandar, and says, we need to take over some of your storage. We need to have the space to store tens of thousands of bodies, because they understood that was going to happen. It never happened. Before the war, the American-Israeli assumption on loss of Israeli life was between 80 to 100,000 Jews. That was what they assumed would happen and what was going to be a fallout of this war. Obviously, some of those numbers would be the pilots, and the bulk of those numbers would be Israeli citizens, Jews on the street that are going to get struck by all these ballistic missiles. 80 to 100,000. There was loss of life, and every loss of life is tragic. The loss of life was, thank God, less than 40 people, not 100, not 1,000, not 80,000, less than 40. Again, that figure makes no sense, knowing what Iran threw at us. But those are the facts. These are such incredible miracles. If we just process and be like, wow, how we have to feel now. And these miracles are continuing right now with the war going on right now. Incredible miracles, similar in the destruction of Iran, in the protection of our pilots, and in the protection of the citizens of Israel that are being subjected day after day since February 28th to this insane barrage of missiles. how it started. I know we're late, so I'll just sort of begin it, and we'll to be continued next week. But February 28th, this was joint between America and Israel. The CIA confirmed that Khomeini is above ground in his compound in Tehran with 7 members of Iran's top security leadership and about a dozen of his family. The CIA is tracking the meeting. Israel strikes. Within 60 seconds, they hit across multiple locations. Khomeini gone. The 7 security chiefs gone. 40 senior leaders that were there gone. Most of his inner circle gone. And if we could think of this, decades of state terror, funding Hamas, funding Hezbollah, October 7th, how they treated their own people. At one point, if you remember, the women started this, so to speak, rebellion, and they had them literally, the soldiers were told, shoot for the eyes, blind them, blind the rebels. All of this tracing back to one person who ruled Iran, ruled 90 million people with an iron fist for 40 years. In those seconds on February 28th, gone, absolutely gone. And the obvious spiritual end, as I'm sure we all remember, is this was Saturday. This was a Shabbos. Well, every Shabbos is special. But this was a special, special Shabbos for this issue of the destruction of this evil ruling Iran, because this was a Shabbos dedicated to remembering. Shabbos Zachar, remember. What are we supposed to remember? Amalek. Amalek is the force of evil that hates God and hates the Jewish people. Amalek is the force that was the Purim story in Persia, in ancient Iran. Haman, a direct descendant, an embodiment of Amalek. So every year, the Saturday, the Sabbath, the Shabbos before Purim, as was this year, that Sabbath, Shabbos, February 28th, the Shabbos whose energy is the destruction of Amalek. And truly, this year, we saw Amalek destroyed. Not only that, on the calendar, that Shabbos, that Saturday, was the 11th of Adar. Purim, the holiday of Purim, is the 14th of Adar. According to Jewish law, in certain situations that are not currently applicable, but one can start the Purim rituals, the Purim holiday, from the 11th of Adar. So from the 11th of Adar, the Purim energy is in the world. And on the 11th of Adar this year, again, the evil of Persia was destroyed. And thinking of America's involvement makes this like even more incredible. Because here we have Trump, who ran on a promise of not getting us entangled in foreign wars. And what's he doing to himself? And this is right before elections, and he doesn't want to be a lame duck president, and both houses could turn over. So politically, this doesn't make sense. But this is a spiritual time, and this happened exactly God's precise, most appropriate spiritual moment. And physically, as we've been overviewing, the culminations of political and military events that occurred over the last 6 years. And throughout the war, there's a lot of miracles. But we'll stop.